I've never quite understood the appeal of pornographic mods for video games, you know, the kind of things people make for games like Skyrim and Fallout 4, and I can't help but wonder whether or not these people are aware of a little thing called the internet. Now don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against TNA in my video games, but that kind of thing has to be worked into the context of the game itself. Like in Duke Nukem 3D, it made sense for Duke to act and talk the way he did, because the guy was built from the ground up to be this steroid-infused, hooker-obsessed ass-kicker. If it's been well established that a character in a game has been built up to be sexual, then that's fine and dandy, and it can often help establish a character's motivation and personality. Look at Eva, for instance, in Metal Gear Solid 3. After you'd only seen her in-game for like 5 minutes, you already knew she was this kind of femme fatale who probably couldn't be all that trusted. It made sense for her to have half her chest hanging out of that jumpsuit because it fit in with her character. Just like it fit into Snake's character to sit there like a brain-dead retard when she was coming onto him. It suited his personality of being this gruff, stoic soldier on a mission to stop the world from being blown the hell up. On the flip side, it would have been weird if a character like Elizabeth from Bioshock Infinite walked around in a miniskirt and a tank top. Anyway, getting back to the point, if you're just modding a game so someone can bang a random NPC, then again it just feels kinda weird and like something a psychopath is gonna come up with. The same kind of psychopath who's married to a couple of real dolls and goes by the name of Dave Cat. There's a lot of novelty to this kind of thing though, as long as you don't spend all that much time on it. When you get invested into it is when it just starts to become creepy. It's like looking into the sun, you look at it for a bit, you get the idea, then you look away, you don't keep staring. But I am, if nothing more, an open-minded guy, and I'm the type of person who genuinely doesn't care what the hell people enjoy doing in their spare time, as long as I don't have to hear about it and you don't force me to agree with your viewpoints. On that note, when one of my lovely viewers informed me there was a pornographic mod for my favourite shooting game of all time, of course my interest was again piqued. In this case, some bright spark came up with the idea of combining hentai and Doom together, and I'm honestly not surprised at all. So join me as we talk about HDoom so that future generations need not ever play it to know what it's all about, and also just so people shut the fuck up and stop asking me to do a video on it. I was a little bit hesitant doing a video on this thing because the game has some pretty graphic content and is pretty much porn at times, but considering there's like videos of women giving childbirth and other crap like that on YouTube, I figured it wouldn't be all that bad. Also, this video is educational as well, hopefully stopping other unfortunate Sunny Gyms from wasting their time with this mod. So HDoom should be pretty self-explanatory. It's a mod for Doom that turns all the enemies from the original game into sex-crazed demons. You can't take something like this too seriously. In fact, if you're going in with anything other than an open mind, you're probably going to have a bad time. Having said that, this isn't really offensive or even the worst Doom mod I've ever played. I'd say it's about on par in terms of how bad taste it is, along with something like the Columbine mod and Grezzo 2. I think the help screen sums the whole thing up perfectly. Here's the basic gist. Enemies that are ready to receive the dick will display an animated sequence of hearts for more than 2 seconds. Press the use key on these opponents to administer the goods. I honestly can't read through that without laughing. Anyway, all this really means that you'll play the game largely as normal, though when certain enemies are killed, they'll have all these love hearts floating around them and you can interact with them, where the game switches to a third-person perspective. At this point, it loads one of a dozen or so preset animations where Doom Guy uses his uncomfortably looking sized member to send the demons to heaven before he sends them back to hell, if you catch my drift. Now this is why I said I was hesitant to do a video on this mod, because these animations are entirely pornographic, which is the kind of thing that a good Christian Sunny Jim like myself shouldn't have to witness. Nah, I'm just kidding, I'm not Christian and I don't give a shit at all, but the thing is, once the novelty of having sex with all the different enemy types has worn off, there's no real reason to keep doing it, no pun intended. Once you've done it a few times on each enemy type to see the animations and have a bit of a laugh, it becomes a redundant feature. Yes, redundant. I mean, it may have at least been useful if it regenerated your health or something, or maybe if after you did it with like 10 demons, you'd get some kind of superpower for a bit. As it stands, it solely exists just for someone to, I guess, get their rocks off at the sight of Doom Guy boning a busty Hell Knight with a schlong that's bigger than his torso. Weapons function mostly the same. You got the shotgun, the chain gun, and the super shotgun, and they all handle pretty much the same as they always have. The only thing is the chain gun has a cooldown of like a second or so when you stop firing. The chainsaw's been replaced by a chain dildo. Yes, you can't make this kind of thing up, and the plasma rifle has been replaced by what I think is supposed to be a boombox. Most of the enemies have been redesigned to fit into the adult theme, though what this mostly just means is that they've all been given boobs, eyelashes, and long hair. The basic imps are the most abundant enemy, and they replace the zombie marines, the shotgun sergeants, and the chain gunners, with all of them firing fireballs in varying patterns. There's still a few enemy types that haven't even been modified yet, like the Archvile and the Arachnotron, and I can't even show you what they've done to the Mancubus, as that's the kind of thing that can get a guy a pretty quick community strike. I guess you'll just have to download the mod and check it out for yourself, but my whole point is, do you really need to? I think there is an appeal to when developers put a bit of fan service into games, because when it's not in there all the time, it's a lot more exciting when it actually happens. That's why every teenage boy back in the late 90s lost their shit when they saw Meryl doing sit-ups in her underwear in Metal Gear Solid, because it wasn't thrown in the player's face. If she had have spent the whole game walking around in her underpants, it wouldn't have had the same effect, and it would have just been a bit crude. That's kind of how I feel with HDoom. I mean, I wasn't expecting some kind of masterpiece or anything, and you get exactly what you expect from a mod that mixes these two elements together. I guess I'm just surprised at how quickly the whole thing became so boring. For I think obvious reasons, I can't link the mod in the video description, but look, if you really want to play it, then it's honestly not that hard to find. I just hope my video has compelled you to not waste your time. Getting fellatio from a lost soul is funny for all of 2 seconds before it just becomes a little bit sad. After that, I'm back to finding them increasingly annoying as an enemy type and worried more about getting boxed in by a pack of pinky demons than by getting into a pinky demon's box. Alright, I may have gone too far with that one.